Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayine Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktabhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 4th chapter, verse number 34. So, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining how Vidura he moved towards Haridwar after he heard from Uddhava Lord Krishna's disappearance, and also he got the message that Lord Krishna has instructed Maitreya to give knowledge to Vidura. So therefore he walked towards Haridwar because Uddhava had left to go to Badrikashram. So in this verse he says, Dehanyasam cha tasyevam dhiranam dharya vardhanam anyesham duskarataram pashunam viklavatmanam atmanam cha kuru shrestha krishnena manusekshitam dhyayan gate bhagavate ruroda prema vibalaha. Says that this story of Lord Krishna's giving up his body, which means disappearing or becoming unmanifest, it increases the forbearance of dhira, those people who are of stable mind, and anyesham duskartaram, and it is difficult for others to understand it. That's what it really means. And Pashunam Viklavatmanam. These other people who are like animals, Pashu, and not having fortitude. So for them it is difficult to understand or difficult to do what Krishna did. So when Uddhava, Vidura has heard this, he started crying because he heard and then Uddhava left, because he realized that Krishna had thought about him. Atmanam Chakurushreshta Krishnena Manushayakshitam. So when he came to know that Krishna remembered Vidura, him, so he became very emotional. And out of love for Krishna, then he became very sad and also crying, thinking about the Lord. Dhyayan Gate Bhagavate, that Lord has left. And Kalindeha Katibhi Siddha Ahobhi Bhartarshava Prapadyata Swasaritam Yatra Mitra Sutamani. Then after a few days he reached Gangaji while walking on the bank of Yamuna and found the place where Maitreya, who is son of Mitra, was residing. So this is the end of 4th chapter, describing how Vidura leaves and goes to Haridwar. तथा एवं अनेन प्रकारेण तस्य धीराणां यादवादीनामपि देहानां न्यासं द्वारकायाम् अप्रकट प्रकाशै अर्पणं प्रभासे च पुनस्त्यागं श्रुत्वा कीदृशं धैर्यवर्धनं तथा श्रुत्वा एव विदुरो हृदि धैर्यम् अवदनात्. So it says that when he heard that Krishna has left, disappeared, and also the Yadavas, because here only says Dahe Nyasam, giving up of the body, whether it is of Krishna, Yadavas or both, is not specifically mentioned. And Dhiranam Deha Nyasam, the word can be applied both ways. It is the people who are of fortitude mind or very stable mind, they gave up the body, or Dhiranam Dharya Vardhanam, it increases the Dharya or fortitude of Dhira or saintly people. So it can be applied both ways. So in any case, Vidura, Hirdi Dharyam Abadhanat, he was stable. Yadva Tadapi Dharya Chedanam Vardha Chedanam Punah. Or he says that Dharya Vardhanam actually signifies that Vidura, he lost his stability, and as it is clear because he was crying. Because it's very difficult to understand that how that it was increasing his dharya or patience. He was not being patient, he started crying. Although the verse says that it increased his dharya of patience. Anyasham duskartaram. So therefore he makes this word dharya chedanam vardha chedanam tam. It was actually cutting his patience. एकत्र देशे देहस्य अंतर्धानम अन्यत्र देशे त्यागत्वेन लोके ज्ञापनम iti yogibhir duskaram ityartha. So he says that he made his body disappear in one place, and at the same time he made it as if he was giving up the body. So to do such a thing is very difficult even for the great yogis, what Krishna has done. Pashunamiti bhakti abhavat. And such people are like animals because they don't have devotion. Means those who do not have devotion, they cannot understand this. Viklavatmanam evam kartum vyakul mansham atmanam swam. And people whose minds are disturbed, who are like animals, which means they don't have any patience, they cannot understand this. कालिंद्यः सकाशात् कतिभिरहोभिः सिद्धे निष्पन्ने सति भावेत्ता कतिषु हेषु वृत्तेषु सत्सु इत्यर्थे स्वसरितं गंगां प्रापन्ने. Then he took him few days. So that means he stayed back. He did not immediately go, at least from here it looks like. And maybe this was the reason that he did not walk with Uddhava. Because Uddhava walked away immediately and he stayed for a few days. And then he came to the river Ganga. So this is the end of 4th chapter. Now comes the 5th chapter, which describes his meeting with Maitreya. पंचमे जगतः सृष्ट्यादियपृच्छत् सुखदुःखिनः क्षत्ता प्रत्याय मैत्रेयः सर्वे तत्त्वैस्तवं हरेः भंग्या चतुर्भिरध्याये आश्रयस्याङ्गिनः स्थितिम् उक्त्वा तदन्यसुक्तोऽपि सर्वसर्वसमुच्यते. Says that in the 5th chapter there is description about the creation of the universe. When Vidura asked about happiness and distress, when Maitreya spoke about creation with the elements, and also he praised Lord Hari. And indirectly in the 4 chapters he has also talked about sthiti or maintenance, which is part of Ashraya Tattva, who is Krishna himself. Because in Bhagavatam there are 10 topics which are described, and we read those 10 topics in the 2nd chapter, 2nd Canto, 10th chapter. So 9 are the parts and 10th is the whole, and 10th is called Ashraya. So the 9 are described to explain the 10th. Ashrasya vishuddhyartham tattva navanamihi lakshanam. So he says that although the talk is about sthiti or maintenance or sustenance, but the real description is of Angi, that is Lord. Uktva tadangeshu uktopi sarga savyasam uchyate. And then again creation is described in detail. So that's the subject matter here in 5th chapter. So the first verse says, Sri Shuka Vacha Dwari Dunadyar Shubha Kurunam Maitreyamasina Magada Bodham Chatto Pisritya Chuta Bhava Suddhaya Papracha Soshilya Gunabhitripta. Says that the best of the Kauravas, that is Vidura, he reached the gateway of river of heaven. Ganga is called Dunadya or heavenly river because it is coming from the heaven. Although it seems to be coming out of the Himalayas, but it comes from the heaven. And he saw that Maitreya was sitting there, who has very deep knowledge, Agadha Bodha. And Kshatto Sritya Achyuta Bhava Suddha Papracha Sausila Gunavitapta. And Vidura, who is purified because of devotion to Krishna, approached him and asked him the following questions. Being satisfied with the beautiful character of Maitreya. Sausila Gunavitapta. So Maitreya is Sausila, he has a good behavior, good character. And he asked him the following question. And the question is very interesting. And one may wonder that why suddenly he is asking this question. Says Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko Natai Sukham Vanyaduparamam Va Vindeta Bhuyas Tata Eva Dukkham Yadatra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadena. This is a very amazing question he had asked. Says that people, they work for attaining happiness. Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko. Everybody is working to get happiness. There is nobody in this world who is working to get something else. We are all working because we want happiness. But what happens? Says Natai Sukham. They don't get happiness. Vanyad Uparamam, or cessation of misery. If they don't get happiness, let the miseries come to an end. That also does not happen. Vindeta bhuyas tataiva dukkham. When what happens? They get again misery. So he says, please, can you explain this to me? Why it happens like this? So in this material world, there are only two things we are looking for. We are performing activities. Everybody is working. Even those who are fired from job, because now there are a lot of people who are being laid off due to economical upheaval. Many people have lost jobs. So they will say, oh, I'm not working. I don't have work. I am fired. I am jobless. Still they are working. Because nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtatya karma. Nobody stays without doing anything. Even when you say, I'm not doing anything, you are doing something with your mind. Because if really speaking, you can attain the state of not doing anything, then you are a Siddha Purusha. Because that is very difficult. Just like in yoga, there is one asana which is called Shavasana, the dead body pose. So it looks very easy that you lie down, you don't have to do anything. But it is the most difficult thing, because the corpse or dead body does not think. So you cannot lie down and not think. So similarly, it is very difficult not to do anything. Only some rare souls can do that. So everybody is working, and there are only two outcomes of our activities. One is happiness or no misery. So this, because we are only desiring two things. Either we are working to get happiness or we are working for something which will give us happiness. So the result, ultimate result is happiness. So either we are working for the ultimate result or we are working for the means for that result. Like people are working to get salary. Because by salary they get money, and with that they want happiness. So salary is a means for happiness. So ultimate goal of all our action is happiness, or we are trying to remove the misery. We are sick or we are suffering, we are trying to remove that. So removing, why we are trying to remove misery? Because misery is an obstacle in happiness. So really speaking, we may say that there are two ultimate goals, happiness and removing the misery. But it is only one, because removing misery is also for the sake of happiness. If misery is not troubling us, then we don't want to remove it. So there are some people who are, what are they called? Masochists. So they, what you say, they give trouble to themselves.
They need pain. They want some.
Instead of painkiller, they want pain. Because they know that without pain, no gain. So they think that if pain is so good that by pain you get some gain, so they say, why not get the pain? So they are after the pain. And by that they think this is happiness. So this concept of what is happiness and what is pain is also very interesting, because what we think is pain is happiness for them. And sometimes there is a very thin boundary between happiness and pain. Something which is painful is also source of happiness and vice versa. So some people become confused about it. What is pain and what is happiness? But in any case, we want happiness. If somebody is doing tapasya, somebody is renouncing, or somebody is eating and not renouncing, it's all for happiness. Both want happiness. There is no difference between a person who is overeating and one who is going on diet. The one who is doing dieting, he also wants happiness by slimming or losing weight. And one who is overeating, he doesn't believe in something later on. He wants to do it now. But Vidura has raised another interesting point, which no one thinks. Because there is nothing which fails so consistently as the desire to get happiness, or our plans to achieve happiness. This is very consistent in failure. And it is amazing that although it fails consistently for everyone, no matter whether you are young or old, you are male or female, you are rich or poor, you are theistic or atheistic, it doesn't matter. For everyone, it is the regular stuff, regular story, that there is a consistent failure in the goal to be happy. And the most amazing thing is that when you fail in something consistently, then you do two things. One is either you give it up, you try, and then you say sour grapes. Right? Like a fox jumping, could not get the grapes, and so these grapes are sour. So you give up the effort to achieve that goal if you fail many times. Or you figure out why I am failing and find a solution for that. So here it is so amazing that in case of attaining happiness, people never try any of these things. Nobody gives up the plan to be happy, and nobody settles down, sits down, that why is that I'm not being happy. Nobody thinks like that. Everybody just goes on trying and failing. Like sometimes you see these ants trying to go up, and they go up little bit on the wall and then they fall down. Then they again try and again fall down, again try and again fall down. So they don't sit down to think that what is the problem, why am I falling down? So it is Vidura who is asking this question for the welfare of humanity. This is one of the most intelligent person in the history of the world who has asked this question. Sukhaya karmani karoti loke navai natai sukham va anyaduparam. That why that we do work for happiness, we don't get happiness. And he said, I will be consoled if I don't get happiness, but at least I can remove my miseries. He says both don't happen. Rather what happens? Vindeta bhuyas tateva dukkham. That whatever I do, I end up in misery. Everything in this material world, the end result is misery. Everything. Whether you get married, you are miserable. You don't get married, you are miserable. You can stay in between. Some people try that. You are miserable. So in Hindi there is a saying, शादी का लड्डू जिसने खाया वो भी पछताया, जिसने नहीं खाया वो भी पछताया. It says marriage is like a laddu, very special laddu. One who eats, he cries. One who doesn't eat, he also cries. So what is to be done? Eat or not eat? So some say if you have to cry anyway, better to have the experience and then cry. And some say that you have to cry anyway, why go through the trouble? Right? So there's logic both ways. So because whoever does whatever, they find a logic for it. Otherwise they will not do it. And logic is such an interesting thing that you can always find logic for anything. You want to have a guru, there's a logic for it. You don't want to have a guru, there's a logic for it. So therefore Vedanta Sutra says Tarko Apratishthana. That logic is not substantial. It is good, it is very useful, but don't just depend on logic, because by itself it is not strong enough. So Shabd Yonikvat. And you have to go to Shabda, as Krishna was called Shabda Yoni. So same thing here, you can find logic for everything. Those who smoke, they have their logic. Why they smoke? Because it's such a stupid thing. And of course those who don't smoke, they also have their logic. So it says that Vindeta bhuyas tateva dukkham. That again and again you achieve distress, misery, depression. So Bhagavad Gita begins from here, Vishada Yoga. That is the beginning of Gita. That Arjuna, he fell into dejection. He was very dejected. They worked very hard to come to this level of fighting and standing face to face. And then he was seeing this, he got dejected. So he says, please yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadenna. He says, what is proper here, please tell me. That shall we try for this or not try? It's like, should one get married or not married? What is the thing? So you can please tell us that. Dyunadya Gangaya Dwari Haridwara Asinam Natu Karya Vigram. So he went to the gateway of Ganga, which is Haridwar, and there he saw that Maitreya was sitting, which means he was not busy doing things hurriedly. These days people have no time. Even if they are sitting, they are busy on their computer. No time. So he was sitting and he did not have a laptop. So therefore he says he was not in what you call hurry of doing something. He was peaceful, means he had time to talk. प्रथमांत पाठ है मैत्रेयस्य सौशल्य गुण ही संतुष्ट. So here this सौशील्य गुणाभितृप्त और सौशील्य गुणाभितृप्तम, it can be applied two types of reading. One will mean that it was Maitreya who had the wonderful character, well behaved, and Vidura was very impressed with that, or other will be that it is Vidura who had that. So it can be applied depending on whether the reading is